Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
To the second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We've got Devin Borden with us
at Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
Monday, February 26, 2024. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. We got a great show for you tonight. We got Jayden Wolf coming back. 358 driver. He's going to come back. He was on the show last year. We're going to catch up with him, see what's going on with his, what happened with him the past year and what's coming up this season. We're also going to break down the Icebreaker, which we were all at yesterday. Great time. Awesome race. We're going to talk about that. And we'll also talk a little bit about High Limit and what's coming up on the horizon. So, fellas, how you doing? Chris got a little bit of a makeover.
I am here. You won't see me. We will have it fixed for Wednesday and next week, but I am here and ready to go.
We could hear you. You're here in spirit. Casey, how you doing?
I'm great. Really good, man. I was excited. I was glad to get out the racetrack yesterday. It was just great to see everybody. The place was packed. Got to see some race cars and some great racing, and excited for tonight for sure.
Absolutely. Yesterday was awesome. It was so nice to get back to the track. Just see everybody, see race cars at full bore. It was great. It was just it was a great time. I feel rejuvenated again. I feel like we're here. We're back, baby. Speaking of back, we're bringing them back again. We're going to bring them in right now. Jayden Wolf. Jayden, how you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. So, how do you guys think the Icebreaker went?
Listen, we're here to interview you. Okay? Listen, Jayden. No, Jimmy, go ahead. What do you think?
I liked it. I love daytime shows, man. I just do. I know it wasn't. Maybe the heats were a little locked down on the bottom, but I thought overall it was good racing overall. So I was just happy to get back, see 410s, see them there.
Yeah, I typically set the bar pretty low for this race as far as like how good the race could be. Been going to these a lot, right? Most of my adult life, and I don't know how long it's been going on, but I've been to most of them. and I've seen some really, really bad races, and I've ended up seeing some really good races. So, if there's ever going to have any faith in anyone, it's Lincoln Speedway and Fred Putney, and he figured it out. So,
Absolutely.
what did you think, Jayden?
Well, pretty much the same way you guys think. The day races normally don't put the best track surface. It's just how it is, especially in February when it's cold and whatnot. But for the most part, Fred got the track dialed in after the heat races. After that open red, it got dicey. Dietrich came on strong. I thought he was going to give Troy a good run for his money, especially through lap traffic, but Troy was fast.
I think that was the best part of the day.
And,
Was Troy
we're going to talk more detail later kind of about that deal. And Danny, listen, we watched the first few laps and Danny's getting passed by Rick Lafferty, which again, not taking anything from Rick Lafferty, but I was like, holy hell, what's going on here? I was concerned a little bit, like something's broken. And then I thought he did break it when he ran over the back of Dominic Malaire. And it was just a little chaos. It was definitely a little bit chaotic and broken race until it really got going there after, an open red on opening day. Of course, that's what would happen. Nothing like an open red before halfway at Lincoln. So, we are back.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about you, man. Let's figure out what has your off season been like? What have you been up to?
Well, we sent the engine to North Carolina a few months ago, and we should be picking up this weekend. The car, we put new bearings and whatnot, pretty much rebuilt the car. So the car's ready. We're just waiting on the engine. And then for the first race, the 16th of March at Lincoln, excited for that. We're going to do some testing before to make sure to shake the car down, make sure it's all good. But for the most part, off season's been pretty solid.
Okay. So last season, we had you on beginning of this time last year, and we talked about the previous year being, some struggles. You had some success, we had some struggles. 2023 was a little more struggles, but I think it was in a different way. Tell us about your journey through 2023, because I'd see you in the pits and we'd be like, all right, what happened? What's going on? And you were chasing it. It felt like most of the year. So kind of recap your year a little bit. I don't want to delve on too much negative because I think there's going to be positives out of it, but tell us kind of some of the battles you fought last year.
Yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster of a year again, but we finished the season very strong. So the first half of the year, we were just fighting mechanical issues. A lot of it was the fuel system. So it led from being a fuel cell from the pickup clogging itself to the leading to the fuel filter going bad, then right to the fuel pump going bad, all in like the span of 3-4 weeks. And then once we got that figured out, we had some good speed for sure, going back-to-back wins and then top 5, top 10 consistently. Yeah, you can't beat that, but the biggest issue throughout the year was just the fuel issues, trying to figure that out and dial that in, and then just had dumb luck, going, I think we went 25th, passing for 7th at the Grove towards the end of the year, and then the rear end blew up on us, and then in the heat race at the Grove, the right rear flying off, just dumb luck, dude. It's racing though, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, you're right. And these things do happen, right? So the rear end, the wheel, the tire, whatever, it does happen. The fuel issues are got to be frustrating, right? When you follow the chain and it continues and continues and continues, and you're just like, why can't one fuel fix this, And I know that was like, that was a long span of time that you fought that at Lincoln and other places. The damn thing would run, and you thought you were good, and the next time you go out, it wouldn't run. Just chasing a gremlin for sure. But like you said, when things held together and you had something to race on, you went forward and won some races and tons of speed there. So, what does this year look like as far as schedule wise? Same thing, kind of Williams Grove, Lincoln, and then where do you go beyond that?
So this year we're gonna just primarily focus on Lincoln. Just had some personal issues go on, and we have to cut back a little bit. So we're gonna first half of the year, full year, we're gonna focus on just Lincoln. If the first half goes very smooth, we're gonna start peeking back into the Grove, because towards the end of the year we found a lot of speed at the Grove, and I started enjoying it more and more. But Lincoln, we obviously have more shows, and it's it's in my backyard pretty much. So we're gonna just focus on Lincoln, focus on points more this year. But like I said, if the first half of the year goes well, we're gonna start venturing off to the Grove and the other summer series races.
All right, so let's talk about Lincoln a little bit. Live and die by the draw a little bit and the handicap. But we'll get into that in a minute. You were there yesterday. You gave us a rundown. What's your opinion on the flagger after watching it? The virtual flagger. And it's literally a virtual flagger, by the way, which I couldn't believe was actually going to be a thing.
Yeah,
It's
that
a
was
working animation of a guy waving a flag. What are your thoughts from a fan's perspective?
From a fan's perspective,
Fan perspective first.
All right, I'll do fan then racer. So from a fan's perspective, it's definitely different. I know some people, it's a love-hate type deal with a lot of people. It seems like some people enjoy it. They think it's better or taking people out of a hazardous situation. But then looking at it from, from other people, they're like, oh, just keep it how it is. Don't change something that's been working for so many years, But as a driver standpoint, like I said, it takes people out of a hazardous situation because stuff happens, and race cars go flipping, and there's only so much time people can react. And so I think if it goes smooth, it's not going to be much different than a normal flagger, But if stuff starts going on like malfunctions, then it's going to be a little tricky. But I don't think it's going to be much different.
Yeah, I tend to agree after watching it. It's going to be a lot to do about nothing. I think it's going to end up being not that big of a deal. There's so many other things in place that drivers can get the communication they need. They didn't use the flagman anyway. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Okay, so first fan question: ran 360s in the South Dakota area. Other than cubic inch, what's the difference between them? We know this is a very popular question. We're used to this, but what can you tell Mr. Smith, Denny out there, kind of the difference between what we do here in Central PA with the 358s versus the traditional 360 that's ran around the country?
So 360s, as we know, are aluminum block. The 358s are a steel block, and the heads are different. So the 360s have more top end power, and but on at a track like Lincoln, they're not going to be much different. Just because the track's so small, you don't need all that power. Like the Grove, it's a big difference. When we have the 358, 360 match races, it's they get us 9 times out of 10, But that's just because they have that much more time. They pick up speed than what we do, and their top end's better. But there's not too much different other than the heads and the block. But they definitely have a lot more power than what we do. They're lighter, and they can run a dish wing when we have to run flat wing.
So definitely some differences in kind of the series and the rules and the the sort of the sanctioning bodies per se. So for Denny, if you're still listening in there, URC is our local 360 kind of touring division. It's really the only time that our guys will compete. And URC has their own kind of set of rules, may differ from ASCS or whatever 360 series is out there. Around the country, there can be different rules. So, but generally speaking, Jayden hit on the head with the engines, which again, depending on track, can put you at a disadvantage if the track is heavy and you can use the power. So, so speaking of Lincoln Speedway, a big topic has been in this off season. I kind of want to get your thoughts on it, and I know a lot of these 358 guys that are in your class in that division. What are your thoughts on the teching or the lack of teching in your division? Now, I don't want to know anybody's secrets. I don't care. ASCS. I don't care about any of that. But what are your thoughts on either like let it be, we're fine, leave us alone, or would you like to see more regulation? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I know Lincoln. Their tech for the 358s, they don't do it, or at least they keep it to a minimum. The Grove, they are pretty on top of it. They're after every feature, they're tearing someone down, which is good. I mean, it keeps it fair. But I would like to see Lincoln do more teching, just because like I'm never going to call anybody out or accuse someone of cheating, but I know there are a few drivers that could possibly be doing some stuff. So it would be nice to see the techs more on top of the engines and the tires, because I know there's a lot of word about tire dip, which, like I said, I don't know if that's true or not, but there's definitely a chance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom Rumsey actually chiming in here. They just need a tech compression. Would that at a minimum? I don't know. I don't know what it would do, right? But I think it would be public. At least people then what's happening. So, and you guys that race it each week, and these teams, and you probably know better than some of us sitting as fans watching to know the difference. I'm sure you guys have a good feel for it. It just blows my mind at that level. Even if it was 358, it's not the premier, quote unquote, premier division. That's a big division with a lot of money invested. That it surprises me that they don't do anything. And maybe that's the lack of a sanctioning body. Like Legends it's a sanctioning body that Central PA Legends, or even if it's loosely done, at least it's a group of somebody that kind of oversees it. But at this point, you're kind of leaving it in the hands of the tracks to determine it. So, yeah, right,
Doing the tech
Tyler.
every week, but doing enough just to keep everyone honest.
Sort of reminds me of the new tire rule in the 410s, right? Don't know when it's coming. It might not, but you don't want to be the one caught at the wrong time, I guess, right? So, and then what does it cost to tear a car down? And I used to hear about that in the Thunder car division a lot. I remember Thunder cars getting torn down more than you guys do. So I don't understand it. I may never understand it. So next thing in your division, really not track based, but tires. I know I talked to you last year. At one point, you were one of the few that I knew of running the new tire and the old tire on the rear at the same time. Tell us about that and where you're looking at this year. Do you have some catching up to do? Do you feel comfortable? Walk me through that whole thinking and idea. You and I chatted about it at one point last year briefly, and I found it super interesting. So tell us a little bit about that.
So what I was doing last year was I was running the new right rear and the old left rear. I didn't really feel the difference in the left rears other than when the new left rears needed time to fire more than the old left rears, and the old left rears would fire a little quicker. And the rollover was a bit different, but the right rears were a huge difference. The old right rears would fall on, it would roll over way too hard. The sidewall wasn't stiff enough, and with these 358s being so heavy, they needed a stiffer sidewall. And then running the top, it helped me a lot. I could run the top a lot harder than what I could with the old tire. It would hold itself up a lot better. And I feel like when the track rubbered down, the new right rear, it held up a lot better than the older ones.
So did you end up on the new stuff all the way around at any point last year, or were you guys allowed to run the old stuff all the way through?
So it was supposed to be we could only run a certain amount of races, and it was called like the burn off period to get the old tires out and the new ones in. But it turned out to be the whole year. It was just pretty much a burn off period. And then this year they're going to be strict on it. We have to run the new tires. But there was a few points where I ran both the new tires on the rear. We did that more at the Grove just to get the stagger we needed, There was a few nights at Lincoln, but 9 times out of 10, we're running the old left rear, the old left rear and the new right rear.
Yeah, I found it super interesting. I heard after I kind of started talking to people, I heard very few did it, but you were one of the first. I was like, oh, that's pretty damn interesting. Like, how did you even figure out that was comfortable for you? Did you just try it one night and you're like, I like this? Like, how did you even figure out to do that?
Just from what I was hearing about the tires, talking with the 410 guys and then other 358 guys, it was more of just a testing type deal, and just me feeling it out. I like the way the right rear is held up, and I like the way the left rear would roll under each other. It helped me, just like I said, it helped me run the top. Even the bottom, when it rubbered down, it would wing down real hard and keep the right rear up, and it felt comfortable, because the worst thing in a sprint car is feeling the car roll up, ball up on the right rear. Like, that's the worst feeling, is feeling your tire roll over. So from me being comfortable, that's where I felt comfortable. The left rears just they held up. They with the stiffer sidewall, the newer left rears held up on it a little more than I like, but it's all set up, you know. So you can change that with setup, but from trying to go out and win every week, that for me was the best chance I had to win. It just gave me a little more of an edge on others. I felt and the biggest thing in the sport is being comfortable. One of the biggest, I should say.
Yeah, and Jimmy, Chris, you're up next, and watching you, Jayden, I know that I can tell when you're comfortable. Like I can visibly watch you drive, and I know when you're comfortable when you're not, because you're ripping and driving harder than everybody around you, and I know you're comfortable. And there's times you drive harder than everyone else, and you're not comfortable, and it doesn't work. But when you're comfortable and you're driving harder, you're passing cars, and it's you're a guy for me that it couldn't be more visible one way or the other. Like whether you're comfortable or not, or the car's handling the way you want it to. So really cool for sure. Jimmy, Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, just you had a pretty difficult season last year at points. Was there any lessons that you learned that you just didn't even think about until you're going through all that maybe you can carry on with you going forward?
Oh yeah, you just got to keep your head up. I know that everybody will say that, but there was a point last year where I was just so down. I questioned whether I wanted to finish the season out because I didn't want the season to just we keep throwing money at the car and just get no outcome. But the team and me, we just kept fighting for it, and we eventually figured it out. And then going back-to-back wins, like I said, and having a strong end of the year, it made the whole team confident going into this season. And that's the biggest thing. You got to keep pushing for it, whether you want to give up or not. You got to just keep going.
And, I know you said you're already going to be points racing basically at Lincoln, but do you have any other overall goals for this season that you want to accomplish to make it, feel like it's you had a successful year?
I definitely want to get a top 5 in points. Last year we were close at both tracks, but for the season I had, I think I got 6 at both track and points. That it was good for me. If I would have been able to finish every race last year, I think I would have been top 5 in points without a doubt. But my biggest goal this year is to land a 410 ride, which it's Central PA racing. It is tough.
Yeah.
So if I can do that, that's the biggest goal. It's just I want to land a 410 ride at some point, or just get an engine. That's the biggest thing. I'd love to get an engine and just be able to compete with the guys in the 410. But if that don't go as planned, top 5 in points is definitely where I want to be.
Do you have any leads at all so far on a 410 ride?
I've talked to a few people. It's all a chance. Nothing's settled. It's just it all depends on how their driver, how they what's the word? It's all how they get along, and because I know some teams they butt heads, but
they got to gel. They got to gel together.
Yeah, it's a part of the sport. It's a tough sport, and some drivers just get in their head too much, and the crew chiefs don't like it. So we'll see. I mean, I never hope someone loses a ride, but it's another opportunity for another driver.
Absolutely.
Chris? Jayden, just one question for you. So think back to last year. What's your favorite memory or moment you had last year?
Back-to-back wins. I can't turn that down. That was the highlight of the year. But if I had to say something else, obviously everybody likes winning, but probably the night at the Grove. I broke in my hot laps. I didn't get any hot laps. Didn't get any heat race. Went from 25th or 26th. I think they filled in the field. There's no point in leaving 2 cars out, so they filled it in. Going 26th or 25th, passing for 7th. Even though I blew up my rear end, the Grove's a hard track to pass at. And going from the back to the front like that at one of the hardest tracks, That was probably, if I had to say anything besides the winnings, probably that night, regardless of how it ended.
You talked about, finances of it all, and it's expensive. You want to get a 410, and I know that that's difficult, but does it get more difficult when you get pulled over? Because I think I saw that on your Snapchat story. Did I see this? What's going on there, Jayden?
Man, I
Yeah,
wish I didn't say that because I haven't told my dad, but he's watching, so he knows
Oh
now.
no! You just ratted him out.
it was someone else pulled over. I just saw red lights. I don't know.
You just ratted him out.
You should have put it on a
Yeah.
Snap story.
Hey, listen, Snapchat will get you in trouble, buddy.
Yeah, I don't speed. I don't speed. Just I have too many modifications on my truck, and the cops don't like it.
Yeah, been there, buddy. Been there for sure. Listen, Ro, you're in a young one, man. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, live and learn. You live it up, my friend. So that night you went 20, the back to 6th, 7th, 8th, and it broke. Was it? I don't know how to. I don't want to say this and assume. Was it like really difficult and you were succeeding, or was it like the most fun, easiest you've had, and it was great passing cars, and it got like what? How did that night work? That it just everything came together and it just did the C's part for you, or like talk about that passing that many cars in a division that's hard to pass and a track that's hard to pass.
Well, I wanted to try something new on setup, considering we were starting in the back. It was either gonna work or not. We tried it. It was definitely tough, but it was probably the most fun I've had. Because passing cars is fun. It's enjoyable. Running the top is fun. It's enjoyable. It was close racing the whole time. So obviously it's never easy. This sport's not easy, but it was so tough because it was one of them deals where if I'm gonna pass, you got to make the move. You can't wait. So that was the toughest part. Is just you don't want to obviously wreck anybody. You don't want to do a dirty move, but the toughest part was just waiting for the moment to happen and striking at it when you had the chance. But yeah, it was fun. Definitely fun.
Yeah, and you really got to be. It's like cautious aggressive, right? If you have an opening, do you wait for the opening or do you make an opening, right? And sometimes it gets easy and they miss the corner, they miss the line, whatever. But like, how do you balance that aggressiveness with making like your car's good, you're better, you don't want to get stuck behind this car. Aero matters, you could end up losing all that momentum and it takes laps to get back potentially. How do you balance that in a place like Williams Grove where to know when to go and when not to, when there might be an opening that may not be there when you get there?
Williams Grove is a lot of mind game. The track surface, not during the feature for the 358s, it's top, middle, bottom. It all depends on how your car is working. So being in the back like that and being fast, you can go into, say I'm going in the 3 and 4 and the dude in front of me is running the top. I can peek my nose, show I'm there, and then go, and he's going to be like, oh, he's going to get me on the bottom, whether I'm faster on the top or not. He's going to go to the bottom. Hopefully, the next corner, most drivers will do that because they don't want to be passed. They're going to think you're on the bottom, and then I can just go around the top, and it works out. But the aggressiveness and being cautious, that's the hardest thing because me being young, I want to go for whatever I can, but after my first 2 years humbled me a little bit. You can't go for everything because it cost me a few top threes, even a potential win. So that was a big struggle for me, was just learning to be patient and whatnot, and being aggressive at times. So during a race like that, you're really basing it off the guy where he's going in front of you, and if they're making a mistake, you better hope you're there to capitalize on it.
Yeah, for sure. And in sprint car racing, it's a lot of go where they're not. But you definitely have, if you have that in your toolbox of saying, hey, I know where I want to be. If I can get them out of my line, whatever I have to do, that just makes it easier, right? So it is mind games for sure. And guys definitely play defense when they see a wing, no matter what where they want to be. It may not even be the line they want to run, but they think they're going to get past there. So it's to me that's veteran, that you have the ability to know how to manipulate the car in front of you with and create your own opportunity. So listen, and we talked about this last year. I think that I would rather have to try to teach you how to slow down than speed you up. But the rest of that comes with it's expensive sometimes, right? You're going to make those mistakes, but that's part of the journey. And if you can stick through it, keep your head up, and it's going to pay off in the end, because that'll pay off in the 410s, that aggressiveness, right? Because if you're scared of the 410 and we have to say, hey, you got to go harder, you're probably not cut out to run at the top level. So I couldn't be more excited for your season and your year, and that thing gets running. I know you're going to win a lot of races this year. That's for me. I think you could have that sort of breakout year. Obviously, things have to go right, right? We know that, but I believe you're a guy who can pass cars in any condition. The car stays together. You know, you use your head. You're going to win a lot of races this year, and no matter where you're at. So that's really all I have. Jimmy, Chris, what do you got?
We got a couple of fan
Questions.
comments and questions here. Obviously, Mom's proud of you. When we were talking about 410s before, Brad Weatherby saying crazy season will be here soon enough. That's something we noticed. You know, the off season's actually kind of the quiet season. Usually changes happen probably starting by like June. And then Sean Donnelly, and this is kind of what we were gonna, usually the last questions we kind of ask our guest, who helps Jayden in the shop and at the track. Also, who is your engine being freshened up by? And then also, what sponsors help you get up and down the road?
All right, that was a lot to take in, so I'll take it one at a time.
Just basically all your thank yous.
All right, so where my engine's at right now, it's up in North Carolina, or I guess over in North Carolina. Sorry. It's down in North Carolina. My dad's uncle, George Bishop, he used to build sprint cars. He used to build NASCAR engines, the 24-hour car engines. He offered to rebuild the 358 last year. And he did, and it ran good. The engine ran good. It ran awesome. So it's there. He's doing it. Who else will be in the shop? My dad, my Uncle Chris, Uncle Justin. Then I got a few of my buddies, Cody Fiddler, Blake Phillips, Lane Johnson. There's a whole lot of people who help out in the shop. I can't be thankful enough for them. They help me out because you're gonna win the races in the shop, whether people like to believe that or not. It's in the shop. If you're not in the shop working on the car, it's not. You're gonna see it. It's not gonna perform how you want it. Then the sponsors, most of my sponsors this year came back on board. I'd like to thank H&H General Excavating, Karma Industrial Services, LM Tire Wheel, Color Wheel Flooring of America, Hockey Plus, Lacrosse Plus, Worst Performance, Advert, Gene Lotta Ford, The Nail Shop, DGI Creative, and Solving's Hauling for coming back this year. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without them. They're who keeps me on the track week in and week out. So if it wasn't for them, I couldn't do what I do.
We got a couple of other comments here. Ashley Capetta saying, proud of him as well. He's come a long way as a person and driver since he started. One thing he needs to work on, though, is not being so hard on yourself on tough nights. You're capable to win.
I appreciate that. I know I'm tough on myself at times, but I hate not doing good. And if I make a mistake on my own, I'm even harder on myself because no driver wants to make a mistake. But it comes at times where you have to own up to your mistakes, and learn from it. That's the biggest thing. It's just learning from your mistakes.
Yeah, it's you're going to get all the chances to make all the mistakes. Just don't try not to do them twice, right? So, like as part of the journey, like everyone's wrecked a race car, everyone's made the wrong move, everyone's guessed the wrong way. Those things happen. You just don't want to do it over and over again because then you're not learning, right? If you just continue to do the same things over and over. So, I haven't seen you do that very often in watching. So, I'm excited to see you out there. Is the car going to look the same, by the way?
Yeah, it's gonna look the same. We're gonna.
Okay with it. It's a good looking race car.
Yeah,
Don't change
a
a
good
thing.
looking race car.
Don't change a thing. Keep it clean and the white, the black, and the red are perfect. It's a good mix. So Chris, anything from you, sir, before we get him out of here?
No, you guys covered it all.
All
Really
right. What's the
appreciate it.
race? What's the race on the calendar this year you want to win?
Well, every race, but
All of them?
I don't have a pinpoint race. I want to go out and perform well, you know. So I don't have really any particular race I want to win. Obviously, I want to go out and win every night, you know. But yeah, I don't have any race in mind that I'd like to win.
Yeah, no, Seth, thank you for correcting that. I don't think Jayden will be here in 29-24. We hope so. No, 20, best of luck, man. A lot of good lucks, a lot of support here behind you.
Absolutely.
Tons of comments here and being proud of you. And listen, man, it is cool to see someone matured right in front of our eyes. And as a person, as a driver, you still have a lot of growing up to do. But just since I've known you in the last couple of years, kind of get more involved in the pits and things, just watching your maturity and you're a pretty quiet, humble kid, and that'll take you a long way. So good luck this season, dude. We'll see you in the pits in a few weeks.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
no problem.
anytime. Hopefully, we'll be bringing you back on after you win some races.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll work.
Take it easy.
Thanks, Jayden.
Thank you, Jayden. Always a good. He's even for me. I mean, when we first got on, I'm like, oh, he's grown a lot in just the past year. You know what I mean? Just
he got taller for sure. No,
yeah. But I mean, obviously, he's very mature, and I think he's got his head on straight, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. So good for him.
That's something definitely I take away from just hearing how he's analyzing races now, and that he did that before. Like last year, we had him on. He knew how to go fast, like Jeremy said. But now he's starting to learn that other part of it, where it's keep the nose clean and win with your brain, not just your raw speed.
Yeah, for sure. Like every time I walk down there and see those guys in the pits and his parents and his crew and Jayden himself. I could never say anything that I was like, man, I didn't like how that went. I mean, just great people, great interaction. Just wish them the best. Hopefully they get all the gremlins worked out, and Jayden has all the ability in the world, and I'd hate to see that talent get passed by. Mechanical gremlins funding, not getting an opportunity. I believe he's a kid who has as much raw talent in that division as anybody out there. So certainly hope for the best for him, man. Get all the support he can get and keep him on the racetrack, because we are better off with him on the racetrack.
Yeah, and he's got a nose towards that 410 division. I don't think I don't think it'll take very long for him to get there. I think he's going to turn he's already turned a lot of heads, but I think he'll continue to do that.
Yeah. He's just got to survive being grounded thanks to Jay-Z this week.
You remember last year? His grades.
Yeah.
You remember that last year?
Grades.
Yeah. Way to go,
Jay-Z. Good kid. I'm sorry, Jayden. I didn't. All right, what's next?
All right. Well, Aunt Bay checking in. Nice shirt. Yeah. What up, Aunt? Always.
I almost wore that shirt. I almost put that shirt on a little bit ago. I almost put it on. I was like, I've worn that on the show before. I'm not going to do it
tonight. So let's get into Icebreaker yesterday. We'll get into some results, so we'll kind of take a peek at the week ahead. Icebreaker, man, yesterday was awesome. I was amped up for Troy winning. It was just awesome to see him win. He led every single lap. He had to get through lap traffic. He had to fight off Danny Dietrich and Freddie Raymer. And you can't ask for much. He was hyped.
And to me, you go back to when he was on the show, starting the season out, and how he talked about BAPS last year, where they ended, where he felt like Danny pulled one over on him, and he learned something, and you kind of saw it. He's out front, Danny's closing in, and Troy got through traffic. Like, you can see lessons were learned, and what better way to do it than hold off Danny Dietrich?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
what a shot.
Listen, when you look at first, second, and third, right? Wagaman, Dietrich, and Raymer. It's the three we talked about at the beginning of the season. There's other players involved here, and it's not going to go that way all year. I'm with you. But it's kind of like when you see that rundown now, and you put him in that same category, right? We expect him to be in the top three, and he expects it, and he wants to get it, and he got it done earlier this year. I know him not getting a win at Lincoln last year was sort of a thorn in his side a little bit. Mm-hmm. But man, like, can't ask for a better start to the year. And what a race that was. I mean,
it was.
It's a race. I've very rarely gone home from Lincoln and wanted to go back and watch it on Flow, if it was on Flow. I want to go back and watch it on Flow because I feel like I missed something because I saw we talked about it earlier. I saw Dietrich getting passed by Lafferty. I saw Raymer get passed, and then he bolted up through there to second, and then Dietrich got back by him. It just felt like comers and goers a little bit, and then that open red really changed it for Danny, which he mentioned, right? He was garbage and then came on there at the end. But like it just seemed crazier throughout the field than even I was. Maybe I'm rusty as a fan, and where I
No,
was
there's a
standing
lot
and
going
where I
on.
was, there was a lot going on. It felt like, and I was trying to catch it all through the camera, and I'm pretty good at like still keeping up with what's happening even through that. I knew Troy was leading, and I knew Danny and Freddie were there, but it just seemed crazy. Yeah, like all the comments here, the 2D, and then Bollinger.
Yeah.
Bollinger was in the first red flag, and he was finished fourth.
Yep.
Like all of a sudden, Aaron Bollinger is I'm not Aaron. Forgive me. He's a race car driver. Like you see, what he finished third at Baps in the final showdown, right from the back, in a different car. Comes up here in this new ride. He's not been in that many times. Ends up in the first one. He kind of started it, spun himself out a little bit, and he all piled in, whatever, but goes to the back. Minor damage, obviously nothing major. Drives to fourth. What crazy?
Yeah.
So
there was a lot of comers and goers.
And I watched the highlights back, like you said, Jamie, today. And I even seen stuff that I didn't see with Lafferty, how he got shuffled out. Like it was just chaos everywhere. It seemed like.
Yeah.
We were
Chase
talking
ends up fifth out of that, like crazy.
Yeah, Chase ended up coming back up the fifth. Cam Smith was running second for a while early in the race. He looked really good. And Lafferty, I don't know if we said it on the show or not, or we said it in private, but I remember you said about Lafferty. I'm like, yeah, I could totally see that too. And then he's sliding onto Danny's front wing, and I'm like, here we go.
It was a perfect track for him to start up front and win. I've seen him do it before. Now, the last couple of years, we haven't seen him show up till June. So I wish I do need to go back on Flow because he got an interview and he talked about getting out earlier. I need to hear that interview because I want to see where he's at for his story. Because to see him out for the Icebreaker this year was awesome. Because he last few years it's been June, right? So I'm sure it's equipment and funding and whatever else. But to see him out at the Icebreaker was great. Then that thing started to smoke, and I got worried. I'm like, oh no, is he done for 2024? Right? Like I don't know his program, and I'm I can't say that I'm like a fan, but like that seemed like a Rick Lafferty kind of track, like Dylan Sidney at Daytime at Port. He's going to be at the front. So no, it was cool. It was great. 25 cars, got to start them all. Listen, and here's the other part: 25 cars show up. I don't care who you are. It's rare when all 25 make it to the A main some nights, right? You have somebody crash, you have somebody blow up, they break something, multiple cars crash. They all started that feature. And they all didn't make it to the end, but we started them all and we didn't have to run a B main. So, and really not having a B main helped us get the track ready because I think if there was a B main, do we have the same amount of track prep to make that feature what it was? Because I'm telling y'all, I was standing in the infield right about the start finish line at the end of heat 3 and there was rubber down. I smelled it. It smelled like somebody was burning tires off in the parking lot. Well, the asphalt parking, that it was a very distinct rubber the last 3 laps of that heat. So for them to take that track prep, made the feature what it was absolutely necessary. And if we look back, you could probably count on one hand how many times Fred had to tear up that track last year in the middle of an event. So they don't want to do it.
No,
they don't want to do it.
Daytime shows,
but he had to. So I'm glad they did for sure.
That rubber was all the pit lizards, my guy.
Listen, and I don't want to get into it.
I don't want
to get into it.
Looking through the field here, maybe some tough breaks. One person that was kind of there was a couple surprises that pulled into the pits. Emerson Axum was one. We were standing out in the parking lot. We're like, "What's this all nice black Halt? Like it's all blacked out." That was Emerson Axum. Got caught up in that early race deal, tore up a really nice race car. Hopefully, we see him back. Dominic Miller started on the pole. And ended up blowing up, and actually Danny Dietrich jumped over his right rear, and you thought that was going to be catastrophic. And
I thought it was going to be big jump.
Yeah. Jordan Givler was supposed to start 8th, had some problems before, had to drop to the back, but hung in there, got an 18th. Cody Hartlob, hard charger, all the way up to 13th. Jeremy Weaver was a surprise. I don't think I've ever seen him race, but he made the trek out from Western PA. And then he also TJ Stutz in the 11P, not the normal 11. but in the George Plank ride, he looked pretty decent. He looked pretty solid for the first time being in that car. And also Dylan Norris took a flight up from Georgia into the 27S, and he had some wing problems, but he hung in there and ran in the top 10 most of the race. Anybody else that we're missing there? Any other storylines?
Bring that back up. Let me see that again.
Yep.
I would say the biggest one is the surprise was Borden. I mean,
Yeah.
he struggled all night. They had a bad day, but I'm sure that's not going to be a lasting thing. But that was one that he looked like he was not having a good time in the heat and just never really got better.
In his heat race, he started in the back and he tried to make the top lane that was totally non-existent work, and he fell all the way back to last at one point and just kind of struggled all night from there.
Yeah, he was passing some cars in the A until he kind of got caught up in trouble. But everybody sort of passed cars in the A because they kept wrecking and things would happen. So, I don't know. It was a weird one. Like, I'm telling you, Aaron Bolling was in that first red. I look up a few laps later, and he's in like 7th. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, how did this happen? So, Chase had a problem, and then there was, Miller had a problem, and it just kind of got chaotic there. But Cameron Smith with a good run, P6 in the first time really out in that car at Lincoln anyway. So kind of started up front, hung around. Looking forward to seeing how he improves in that 75. Looking forward to that. Chad Trout was one that I noticed throughout the day, was aggressive early. And by the end of that thing, man, he had that wing back and up in the air and just tight as hell digging. So I enjoyed it. I'm all for the day racing. It makes for great pictures. So thank you for the day race.
Yeah. The pictures came out awesome, by the way. The lighting.
It was mint, buddy, mint. And I had a lot of fun taking those and editing those here the last basically, I'm glad it was a day race too. I got to come home on a Sunday. Most of my photos were edited by Sunday evening. It was kind of cool. So the timing worked out. No, Tyler, I haven't heard that, but I assume that we see that car the end of the year, but I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
The one that and I don't know. I didn't, and somebody asked me about this at the track, and I just assume it's travel. It's pre-planned. Was the 39 Tron car with Callum Williamson wasn't there? So is he still finishing his season in Australia? What's the plan? Do you guys know?
I have no clue. I haven't heard anything.
Haven't heard anything.
We did but I didn't see a schedule or plans that I recall.
I haven't heard anything other than he was announced to run it. I just don't know when. They are still running over there in Australia, so I'd imagine probably.
Yeah.
Probably finishing that season. It could be because Chase McFadden's still having a hard time coming over.
He could be on the McFadden travel plan. Yes.
Yeah, he could be on the McFadden. It was something that we noticed when Troy was running first and Cam Smith was running second. Be like, flashback to Icebreaker last year, they were both running the 39M, and now here they are in two different cars running 1-2. It was pretty cool to see.
For sure, definitely some talent in that field. The other one is Michael Millard. Has anybody heard anything? I looked through his racing page and his personal page and heard nothing about plans.
Anything?
I haven't seen him streaming.
I saw him streaming not too long ago.
Yeah, so don't know what's going on there. There's a lot of cars we didn't see. That we didn't see that we will see. Kyle Reinhardt, Chris Arnold, a couple of those. It was cool to see Steve Owings out for sure. Guy who's dabbled in 410s over the years, in and out, back and forth a little bit. So it was cool to see him there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it was about what I expected. Not really any surprises. Yes or no. Axum was a surprise, but also
I thought we were gonna get maybe a couple more cars, but I thought I was good with. I thought maybe 30, but I mean 25. You're splitting hairs. It was still a good field. I was glad that we didn't have to deal with a B main then.
Didn't have to have a B main, right? Yeah. So get in and out of there and move on. So yeah, that's about all I have. Victory Lane was on the front stretch instead of in the Victory Lane because it was too muddy. That kind of sucked. It was cool because they were closer to the fans. It was cool to hear the fans for sure. But no, it was a good day. It was a good day.
It was definitely a good day. I mean, it's an icebreaker. Got us all back out, seeing each other, seeing fans. We saw Steph and her whole family. That was cool. You get down to get afterwards.
We did get a picture.
I'm
gonna pull that up here. This was awesome. We were in line for our tickets behind them. Me and Chris were, and they were like, "Oh my god." It was, and we got to talk, and we saw each other again in the pits, and we hung out for a while with Billy Dietrich and Chris Frank and all of them, and we had a good time meeting each other. So, Steph, it was nice meeting you and your family. It was a great time.
I was just matching the energy of the larger child with the beanie hat on. I was was matching that energy. Apparently, I wasn't ready for the picture, so I don't know why I was there. I still thought I was being punked that someone wanted our picture with them. So I don't know why anybody wants our damn picture, but no, Steph, thank you.
We
She's
will.
been a fan.
Yes, thank
Steph
you.
and her family have been fans of ours from the beginning, and we appreciate them so much, man. It was,
Yeah.
and I met Steph last year. Oh, I forget where we met. I forget what
Baps?
track or where we met
Baps?
them.
Baps, I think it was. You said.
Was it Bats? I don't. Yeah, it was Bats. Actually, after Victory Lane at Bats, it was at Bats. Yeah, good call. So it was cool to see them out there this spring with her and the kids and her and her husband.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a great time for sure.
A couple more comments here. Jackson RC Aviation, great time at Lincoln Speedway. Took our grandson for the first time. That's awesome. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, that is awesome. I saw. Listen, I had a random friend on my Facebook page. I know them from like an acquaintance of an acquaintance something. They were at Lincoln for the first time for the Icebreaker. Like to have new fans show up to the Icebreaker and they were like, "This was so cool!" Like they're racing motorsports fans, but they're not sprint car fans. And they were videoing, and it was super cool. And I was like, "Man, please come back!" Like if you like that, there's so much more racing this year. It's warm, enjoy the weather. So pretty cool.
Something from Chris Noel here, who we also
talked to him,
ran into and talked to for a couple times actually.
I hope he got done watching the race by now. But
moving the restart line was a great change for Lincoln. I didn't even notice it, but I was we were also in 1 and 2. So, what'd you guys think?
I didn't
notice any difference,
but I saw the cones. Brett Perigo and I talked about that, but we didn't. I didn't know what it meant as far as launch. I guess before it was middle 3 and 4. Now they moved it closer off of 4, which
dabbled in this over the years. I've seen it all the way at the exit of 4, like where the straightaway gets straight. I've seen it there. I've seen it all over the place over the years. And this is sort of that middle ground, and it's like that 3/4, like the 80% mark of the corner. I think it's a bigger advantage for the leaders because they're straighter, faster versus when they were in the middle of the corner. I still think it's a bigger disadvantage, I think, for the middle back of the field because they're literally in the middle of the corner. The leader is now straight and gone. I don't know. I'm not sure what the reasoning is. Somebody told me that there's electronics in that start line now. Maybe that I don't know what's going on there. Maybe that's not true. I don't know what's going on there, but I do like it. I think it's going to be better for the fans too. I think you're also not going to have this weird turn down the track, push them up, turn down the track in the middle of the corner thing. Maybe it's easier to judge a jump. I don't know. But I think it's probably aesthetically more pleasing from the fans' eye, I would think, being closer to them as a start. But we'll see. I don't know. I think I'm indifferent, but I didn't see it being a problem or not a problem yesterday.
And then Tyler also wants to know what our opinion is of the virtual flagman. And the only opinion I have, and something we were talking about with Jayden early, was it's an actual picture of a flagman. And I was kind of picturing more like I know what NASCAR does is on the big screens that they have at their races is when their flags change. It's just a big animation that takes up the entire screen of like a flag waving.
Yellow.
Like if it's green or yellow, it's all yellow kind of waving. So I thought that would be cool, but either way, I think it's fine. They still had a regular flagman too, just in case. So I didn't really notice a difference being over in 1 and 2.
The one thing, probably loosely related, that Brett Perigo pointed out is like the lights on the track stay lit the whole time under green.
Yeah.
And Brett and I were talking about, he said that's something that most tracks do it the other way. They go off, so you can catch the light flashing when it turns yellow or red versus that solid green light. He was a little worried that maybe drivers wouldn't pick up that light changing colors as easy as if there's no light and boom, flashing yellow. So that's something to kind of have on the radar, I guess, back of our minds down the road.
Well, and they might be used to it at Lincoln, right? I think Williams Grove has green lights around the track at certain points. It might not be a wheeling system. I think actually they do have a wheeling system entering 1.
Yeah.
I'll have to look if it's green. I think it stays green.
Right, that's
Williams
what
Grove.
we were talking through it, and I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty sure I have photos of it being green, cars going by it green at night even. So I'm pretty sure at Williams Grove it's also lit up green when they're under green. The only thing, yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. I remember seeing it at Williams Grove just in the places I've stood and watched. The one thing that who do we talk? Oh, Cody Harlow. Cody Harlow actually got asked by an official at Lincoln and said, "What did you think?" Here's what. And actually, I called some of Tyler's live just a few minutes ago. The sun angle right now, this time of the year, when it got low, and where the sun is and the dust and dirt that was in 3 and 4 kicked up, it was a haze in the middle of 3 and 4, and it was hard to see the cars coming out of the haze. They were saying that they couldn't see the board coming out of 4 at all. They couldn't see it. Now you have the sun directly hitting the board, and you have the cloud of dust and whatever. That virtual flag man waving the flag is a pretty small flag in the scheme of the big board. That was
Yes.
the thing that I'm looking at. Like you just said, the big flag should be versus maybe the virtual flagger guy. It's literally a cartoon iRacing flagger guy looking thing with a little flag.
Yeah.
So
I feel
I
like
don't
the
know
flag
if that
should be
thing-
bigger part of the
yeah,
board.
I don't know if that software with that deal comes with different versions of a flag waiver, but you test them out, right? This is their period to do that. I think this week they're still going to have a manual human. They're going to have a human up there still this week, I believe, and then work the bugs out of it. And I think it'll be fine. I think it'll end up being much to do about nothing at the
Yeah.
end of the day. So it won't be. A couple comments here. Steve Clayball. I'm going to jump ahead, Jimmy.
No, you're fine.
Matt Campbell started 18th, went to 8th, tire went down, overall good run. I agree.
Yeah.
Listen, that card, every time I saw the damn thing, it jumped off the my eyes. It caught it. The black and the red with the chrome wheels. Man, is it sharp. I actually sent Matt a picture. I took a picture of the wheel in the pits and perfectly chrome, shiny X. Like the wheel was all shined up and perfect. They put an X sticker on the wheel, like the number.
Oh yeah.
And it's on the wheel. I sent it to him and he goes, "Well, that didn't last long. I bent that wheel in like lap 1." I was like, "Of course you did." He said, "Didn't look like that after that." But beautiful race car. Definitely a good run. Look, Matt has shown the ability to win. Matt has shown the ability to drive hard. Just put it all together, right? Matt gets to start up front. He's going to win races. He had to pass a lot of cars last year. Couldn't get through the heats. Not get through them, but it's hard to transfer sometimes. He would always come from the back of the field and he'd show up late. So Matt's going to be a guy who will win races for sure. It's all got to come together, right?
Yeah.
It's got to come together a whole night. Put the whole night together, and I saw, and actually a buddy of mine, Nat Tuckey, 358 driver. He was in the pits, kind of helping out with the car a little bit. He was the fuel man, I guess it sounded like, and got to talk with him a little bit and learn a little bit about that deal and that ride. And super excited for another good race car to be in the pits at Lincoln Speedway. So, yeah, Steve, looking forward to what y'all can do there, Steve.
Brent, going back to the Glatfelter question before, the 69 plan on being at the track in 2 weeks. So that's good. Dal Shot says I'll be out in a week or two. So there we go. We're going to start getting them. Let's go.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get
time,
them all out.
The Icebreaker does that. We were spoiled last year with the Icebreaker being the 2-day show. The Outlaws were in town. All these we were very spoiled with car counts. Yesterday didn't surprise me because whether they're ready or not, right? Let's say Dallas has all his equipment sitting there ready. He can be like, "Hey, I'm not. I want no parts of the Icebreaker."
Right.
I've seen too much equipment torn up. There's been years that's happened. If you're not a points guy, that you're like, I'm avoiding that like the plague. To not tear up equipment if you don't have piles of it sitting around in the shop for extras. So, not surprising at all. I think car counts rise weekly.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we end up with the high average like we did last year sometimes, just because some of these guys that were not regulars, but they would be around if they would come, they'd run to Lincoln or Port or whatever. They're gone. They're not there. So I think it's a good opportunity for other teams to run more maybe locally and get some seat time, and who knows what happens. So I'm excited. We're excited to see how the season goes.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how it goes from here. Want to get in the high limit real quick? Just kind of recap that.
No, one last one. Kevin and Stacey Hartlaw need to know what lap they're on. Drivers had no idea. You're not alone. Now, drivers is way more important to know what damn lap it is than fans, but I had no idea. The board was off. The board, by the way, don't expect it to be running at Lincoln. It doesn't work. It's broken.
I didn't understand why the scoring pylon worked in the heat, and then they turned it off for the feature. I was so confused.
I'm going to tell you why. Okay. So gathering all of the stuff that I've gathered from yesterday and then today, listening to Tyler, I put this together and went, oh, no one's going to like the answer, but here's the answer. That scoreboard, I didn't know this, and this is Tyler, our Tyleropedia, right? This guy knows that that's an old Silver Spring tower that they had the last 2 years of its existence. That scoreboard was from Silver Spring. When did Silver Spring close? 04, 05. So it's a 20-year-old scoreboard with 20-year-old software. Regardless if the wires work, it has power, it works, but the software is 20 years old, and all the transponder technology has advanced. The transponders are fast. Okay. The scoreboard is delayed. After so long, you get so far behind, it doesn't know who's where.
Okay.
It loses track because it's delayed
Yeah.
because
It's
of the
so slow.
timing and the different softwares of the transponders on the cars and the software in the tower. So in the heats, it's 8 laps. It's not going to, you're okay, you're done. Time in hot laps, it's okay, it'll work. Time trials, it'll work. Feature time, don't expect it to be on. Just don't expect it to work or be on, which means now they not only don't have one working in turns 3 and 4, they don't have one working in turn 2. The digital scoreboard on the video board, I don't know if that works or not for lap counts and rundowns, because during the open red, they had video crews out on the track filming the open red. So when I had a moment to walk in to the front stretch, I didn't know what lap the open red was on.
Yep.
I had no idea.
I had no clue what was going on.
Some kid in the infield went, I think we're on lap 13. I had to trust him. I had no idea. So there's going to be some things there, I think, with communication from the track to fans and tracks to drivers. So, and listen, under the first red flag on the very opening lap, I was standing in 3 and 4, and Cody Hartlaw parked right along the inside guardrail. I was over there. I was talking to him. He was trying to hear. He would give me kind of like the hey, hold on, they're talking, and he said it kept cutting out. So he was even getting communication from the tower, and it was cutting out in his ear. He didn't even get the full whatever they were saying. And I think it was the rundown or the restart. It was cutting out. So listen, it's a lot of little things. Yeah, the drivers were told under yellow what lap they were on. But listen, if you're a driver and you're locked in, do you hear that every time? Listen, I'm a fan. I can be locked in and miss something.
Right.
I can't imagine as a driver being locked in. So I don't know how else they would know what lap they're on other than the signals, the flagmen, whatever. But
that stuff's normal for a driver. I'm more worried about the fans. The fans want to know what lap it's on and where they're actually running.
Yeah, on a 30-lap race when we've had cautions and yellows and now open reds, I don't know where we're at in the damn
I
race.
have no clue where we were at.
It matters as a fan.
And you know what actually helped me the entire time?
The flagman that was
the flagman that wasn't supposed to be there.
Doing halfway, doing go. The flagman that
the only way I knew. So
right. So yeah, there's some communication stuff there. You know, the safety stuff's all in there in place. Now it's just getting the communication to the fans, drivers that we're accustomed to, and figuring out how to make all that work.
I think they'll figure it out. I think they will.
I do too.
Aunt Bay says you'll see the 00 out this weekend. So
all these cars. I'm not going to be there.
It's gonna look really. I didn't see what the race monitor tells you if they have service. It was also nice too going to Icebreaker because I had all my friends there. Now obviously I was still checking, once in a while for my girlfriend and stuff, but I didn't need my phone at all day. It was just a nice day to be kind of like.
And we had service most of the day with all those people there.
Yeah, but I didn't need it. Because I was enjoying. I was enjoying
the event.
So it was a nice, refreshing day, for sure.
There was something else you were just saying. Weather. It looks warm Saturday, but it looks like maybe rain. So I don't know. Listen, I'm open for the rain date on Sunday, everybody. I can be there. I can't be there Saturday. So prior engagement, I'm not going to be there Saturday. So if it gets to Sunday, I'm in. I'll take the rain gods this week for a rain date. Anyway.
So just real quick, high limit from this past week. Thursday night was high limit only. Tyler Courtney taking down the win. Brent Marks second. Justin Peck third. That went green in the checkered, battling through lap traffic. Brent Marks. There was a good battle between basically from first to sixth, seventh. You had Brad Sweet up there at one point. Brico. They were all battling. It was a good race. And then on Saturday, they didn't race Friday, and it was rained out Friday anyway. They did the double with Lucas Oil on Saturday, and Jacob Allen getting the win. Now, I didn't see any of this race, but I heard a little bit and saw a couple little clips here and there. But hugely popular win. It always is when Jacob wins. Well deserved. Tyler Courtney second. Justin Peck with another third. Good weekend overall for both those guys. Any thoughts from Golden Isle?
Yes.
I have. Go ahead, Jamie. You're probably going to say what I'm thinking.
I've talked a lot. Go ahead, buddy.
I was thinking just through not just Golden Isle specifically, but this part of the season, you're seeing Tyler Courtney really assert himself as a real player, and you're seeing Brent Marks show consistency to also be a player in this championship. And Brad Sweet and Rico, we thought we were going to dominate with Larson every time they hit the track. Hasn't been the case so far. especially both races this past week. Brent was the fastest car there probably Thursday, and a couple more laps probably catches Courtney anyway.
Probably gets him, yeah. I agree on the. I said it at Volusia, with Tyler Courtney. I was really shocked with the speed that he showed against not just High Limit, but also, just against the Outlaws. But just he was up there every night, and it's like, all right, he's going to be a player. He's not going to. Everybody kind of probably had it in the back of my mind. All right, he won the All-Star titles against. It was a strong-ish All-Star roster, but it isn't what it is now with the High Limit, or anywhere close to World of Outlaws. So he's shown that he's got the speed, and I think him and Brent are really going to take it to him.
And really, we shouldn't be surprised. I mean, they close out. Courtney was really good at Port last year. He was up there. I think he won one of the nights of the 50. Looked strong against the Outlaws at Port. Brent Marks won the National Open, so shouldn't be surprised, but still a little bit am.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about Brent because I think he's really shown over the past couple seasons that he can go win anywhere. Like he started going down to Texas and winning against the Outlaws. Obviously he can go anywhere. He's proven he can win on any track, and I think he's worked to get his program now to where it is right now, where he can go anywhere, and that's why he's out there on tour now because he can go out and win anywhere against anybody. So, and not that Tyler Courtney obviously wasn't that way, but I didn't expect him being. He's top 3 every night so far this year. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he has a finish outside the top 3.
And that's why he's the points leader. So
yeah.
So my thoughts at Golden Isle. I don't know if I've ever watched a sprint car race there. If there's been many,
I don't think there has been.
Maybe I haven't. I don't remember. It's not super memorable racetrack. That loose red clay is interesting. There was Rubber Down one night there at the end with Jacob Allen won, and he won that race. Very popular, $20,000 to win, by the way.
Yes,
obviously a very popular win. Both features ended up really good. I don't know if the heats were great any given night, but by the time feature time came around, it was good. Very surprised with Brad Sweet's lack of dominance. I am and I'm not. I am. Listen, I am. Period. There's no way that I'm not surprised because even the best of the best, no matter if it was just Outlaws or if you had the best of the best in Knoxville and Eldora and wherever, Brad Sweet's a contender. He's up front. Won 2/6. Not that this is not competition, but 2/6 and really wasn't a player for the winning either of them. Showed up on the screen a couple times. Listen, it's way too early. We're still in freaking February. He could win 8 in a row in June. We know
that's what I was going to say was he can go on a tear. He could go on a tear, and that's usually what he would do with the Outlaws. He would just he would kill you with second, third, fifth, sixth every night. He would be there, but maybe you don't think of him as winning races, and then all of a sudden he'll have a stretch where 2-3 weeks he's winning everything.
But this is a short season.
Yes.
There's 50 races.
50,
mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay. This is an 80 when you get 60 of them, 65 of them with rainouts. It's a fairly short season. The consistency will pay off because he has shown the ability to not have DNFs, right?
Yes.
Consistency to not DNF, where Tyler Courtney right now could be running up front, top 3s and podiums and wins, but a couple DNFs, boom, there's Brad Sweet, right? And then he goes on a tear and wins some, and he wins by 100 points.
Yes.
We've seen that. Again, am I shocked a little bit? I am. But it's way too early to make any determinations for the season, right?
It's still
in any
early.
regard, whether it's Tyler Courtney winning, Brent not winning yet, right?
Yep.
At these tracks, but consistent finishes. And honestly, I said this to some of you guys, that loose clay type track is not Brent's specialty. To have good runs was probably
look really good.
We'll see how it gets going here. Weather warms up, tracks wear out a little bit, this or that. I think Brent's going to, like you said, he can win anywhere against any competition anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Outlaws, go into their territory, our backyard, Ohio Speed Week, it doesn't matter. He's a threat to win anytime he shows up anywhere. And he's time trialing really freaking good everywhere. So, it's a scary thought to think he hasn't even really gotten going yet, which is insane. So it's going to be a fun year. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. And then once they get back into PA, I think it's going to be
Should get Tyler in here as our statistician in the background because we're just dummy fans. We don't really know this stuff. But that's why it's not memorable because there was never a 410 race there. So that checks out. My intuition was right on that one.
And Brad also says Helmet's going to be very competitive. I think anybody can win any given night. I think so too. I think that this is the thing is like I think they proved it here going to Golden Isles, not a sprint car hotbed at all. They were, mostly the fans were there probably for either Kyle Larson or for the late models or both. Maybe not necessarily for the sprint cars, but they got a treat, and it really is that way. Wait till they get James McFadden in there. You know what I mean? Like, because he's going to be a guy that I really think that could compete for the title. You are though. You have probably 10 different guys that can win any night. Justin Peck's right there. He's just chipping away at it, third places. Battling for as long as he doesn't shoot himself in the foot, he'll be a contender. I don't think you're going to get that in the Outlaws, and I don't want to say compare both, but I think you're going to get like 4 or 5 different winners. Maybe I think you could have 10 to 12, maybe depending on the night, maybe because of the format. I don't know, but
listen, the other part of this, and we all know Justin Peck's a contender, but this guy's due for about 10 wins. Okay,
yeah.
Watch out if he can continue to finish well. He's going to win a lot of freaking races because he's more than overdue. Like, holy shit,
Good question here from Charles Price.
Okay, Charles, I already wrote down my 5, but where do you live? Are you local?
Yeah. If you had to pick 5 special events to go to this racing season, what one should I have? I definitely have to make it to. Yeah,
This
I already wrote my 5 down.
Is such a
because we're going to be extremely biased.
Well, it depends. It depends. If he lives in Nebraska, or if he's local here in PA, that's going to be a different answer because I will be regional and keep it that way. If you have the ability to travel around the country, let us know. The list might be a little bit different.
I live up by Scranton, PA. Hey, Scranton, Northeast PA, baby, let's go.
So I'm gonna give 5 that are different than the normal ones. Especially the way Clinton County, the Phil Walter Classic would be one that I would definitely recommend getting to.
Clinton County's cool, yeah.
Something unique. Sportsman 100 lapper at Baps, baby. I would come down for that. It's a little bit of a haul, but that's a unique event that I would recommend someone to go to if they like seeing something different. And the National Open, of course.
That's 3.
Man.
Bring down.
Tusky 50.
Okay.
That whole weekend's always one of my favorites. I'm trying to think. Probably the Weikert would have to be the other one.
Yeah. My number 1 on my list is Weikert because of
also number 1 on mine.
Yeah, Weikert weekend's going to be awesome this year. I love that weekend in general, and now they up the ante on it. I think it's going to be huge. I'm going to be a little biased to myself to maybe it's going to be a little bit closer for you, Charles. It's in October. It's after the National Open at Williams Grove, which I would put at number 2. Number 3 is the World of Outlaw weekend at Sealands Grove, because that's the first time that they're since late 80s, early 90s or something like that.
1990 something.
Yeah. So that's a huge event for them, and that's right after Williams Grove National Open. So that's a cool track to get to. It's probably a little bit closer for you. I was going to say Icebreaker at Lincoln, but that's already passed. I love the Icebreaker. Get to the Outlaw race if you can during the week. The Outlaw race at Lincoln's great. And get to the Outlaw race at Baps too. Or I always love the November race too, but that's a little cold. That's a little diehardish. But definitely just try to find an event at all those tracks. I think the big 5 tracks. Try to get to their biggest races throughout the season. I think you would not be disappointed, especially if you make number 1 port at Weikert or Tusky on the list. Get to Fair Week for Port Royal too, because that's just a whole nother event in itself. Go ahead,
yeah, I agree. Both your lists are fine. Again, there's no right answer here. For me, if you're not a huge sprint car fan, I think the experience matters and goes a long way. Not knocking the Sportsman 100, but we as fans know what that is. We know that that's history. If you walked into there, if I wasn't a fan and I walked in, I'm like, what the hell does this mean? It's a 100-lap race with these cars. Is that important? I'd have to get an education live. If you're not a fan of the sport, I think the experience matters. If you want an experience, Fair Week at Weichert, Fair Week, the Juniata County Fair. Pick the beginning or the end of that, whatever the deal is, and experience the fair. Go watch a race. It's really cool. Port Royal Speedway Fair Week. I have number 1 on my list is Weichert. I have number 2 is Natty. Number 3 is Tusky. Number 4 is the Silver Crown USAC show at Port.
Oh, yes.
Or some sort of Silver Crown USAC combo there. And in our area, Silver Crown. And number 5 is any Speed Week race, whether it's the Mitch Smith at Williams Grove, it's the BAP Speed Week show. Depending on your schedule, you can get to Grandview. You have Grandview
is a good one, yeah.
So I think that in Speed Week this year with 10 grand to win at every event or more, I think you pick a Speed Week show and it's in the middle of summer, vacation time. I don't care which one you pick, wherever you're close to. So, and then there's more, right? We have a bunch of other World of Outlaw races. We have Summer Nationals, Morgan Cup. High Limit will be in town obviously this year, and they're gonna go up to New York, right? If you're in Scranton, is New York or in the New York race is semi close, Ransomville, places like that. So there's tons of options. But for me, if you're a new fan and you're not a huge fan and you don't know it yet, you can go to a Silver Crown race. It's packed and you'll get an education.
Yes.
And again, I'm not knocking Clinton County and I'm not knocking a Sportsman 100 for that but I think as fans, like I've never seen a Sportsman 100.
Right.
It's just nothing that I've ever been to, and I want to. I understand what it is. If you don't know what it is, I think you need to go where the people are and get that experience and go, man, I'm hooked. I'll go to this in any given week, right? If you go to again, not knocking at Clinton County and it's full, but it's small, maybe you're like, is this special? This is cool, but do I want to do this every week? You get down and watch a Tusky or a Weichert and Fair Week and do that and bring the family, you're hooked. So that's just my take on it.
I came from basically Northeast PA where I didn't have a lot of the dirt track racing around. And then, I went a couple times as a kid, Williams Grove and stuff like that. And then I moved out here more central PA. I went to Summer Nationals at Williams Grove. I can't remember what year now. It's like 8 years ago now. And then I went to Sealands Grove the next week for just a normal Saturday night race. And then I went to Port Royal for an R-Star race. And then I've been hooked since. I've basically going every weekend since. So, like, it was kind of like hook, line, and sinker with those 3 right there. So, but definitely try to get to some of the really any race. But if you're gonna make the trip out, go to a sanctioned race, an all-star race, a high limit race, or Speed Week race.
A little bit of breaking news. Just came across the wire.
Ooh.
12 minutes ago. We have a new contender in a 410 ranks in 2024. Mike Thompson out of the USAC East Coast URC ranks will be 2024. This year, we're stepping up and focusing on 410 wing racing around Central PA. We plan on debuting the 410 this Saturday at Port Royal for practice. Thanks to his long list of partners and put out a whole schedule. Mikey Thompson stepping up to 410s, guys. So check that out. I just shared that on my photos page. We should probably share that to T2T.
Yeah.
We'll put that out there. We'll put it on our Facebook page now. We'll share that. So another team step up in the 410 ranks, guys. I would assume he's practicing at Port, going to be a kind of a Williams Grove Port guy would be my guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to what we were talking about there. Tyler, right?
Tyler's top 5.
The all-knowing Tyler of Central Pennsylvania type racing. Here you go.
Of course, he has a late model race at the top of the list, which you can't go wrong with Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil 50K to win at Port. Natty Open at Williams Grove. Tusky 50 at Port. Freedom 76, which is a modified race down at Grandview. And then the Sportsman 100 at BAPS. That's a good little mix. For sure.
Yeah, you'll definitely get a taste of everything there.
He does like his fenders,
Charles seems to know about Silver Springs and Sportsman 100, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, so the first, I guess, would it be 30 or so were there, 29, and then now this year being the 50th running. So I would expect a lot of good promotion from Babs and Tony Sharp with that. So
Dave can't. Let's get in the next weekend here coming up.
All
Dave
right.
can't. He keeps talking about it. About this weekend. Port Royal does have open practice this weekend on Saturday. I believe it's free for general admission. You have to pay to get in the pits. So if you're in the area and want to just go check out it's going to be all sorts of divisions. If you want to go see cars turn laps.
9 different divisions or something that are available.
If you want to go see cars turn laps, get on over there and get ready for the weekend after. Then will be their opening day. So yeah, I would imagine Chase Dietz will be out there in the Zemco car, shaking that down.
There's gonna be some
Lincoln.
There's gonna be some interesting cars at Port Royal.
I think so.
If all goes right, Mr. Kyle Keaton will be at Port Royal practicing.
Yeah.
He has 410. Obviously, Mike Thompson will be up there. Chase Dietz.
Hagerstown has open practice as well, so that's
Tyler. That's a whole different state. Don't bring me that. Don't bring me that Maryland energy in here, okay? Don't bring me that Maryland energy in here when they get to 47,000 fender cars, okay? Don't bring that energy in here.
So open practice at Port. Lincoln back 3 p.m. Another 3 p.m. show on Saturday. 410s with PA micro midgets. Sounds like maybe it'll be a little bit of a higher car count here.
What the hell are
High
PA
limits
micro
up.
midgets?
They were sitting.
What the hell's a PA micro midget?
They were all sitting there out in the concourse there at Lincoln.
I didn't even cross over the track.
Did you even see it?
Nope,
I guess
didn't
not.
go there.
You're too worried about your tumbler.
They're basically. I don't want to say they're just 600s. They're 600s, but they're in like a midget.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what the difference is, to be honest. If somebody knows
Tyler, what the hell's a micro midget? Tyler,
what's the difference between a 600 and a micro midget?
Tyleropedia, what the hell's a micro midget? I'll be waiting your answer.
But they did have them there. So that'll be pretty cool. But obviously the 410s, I think you'll get some more teams there. You're gonna have guys like Brett Marks, Anthony Macri. They're going to be back in town because I would imagine maybe, I don't know, or
not on Brent's schedule. He is going outlaw racing,
and
they're staying with the Outlaws.
It's on Macri's schedule from what
Macri might be back. Brent is not.
Thank you, Tom Rumsey. It's a 600 frame with a 500cc motor.
Oh, that's what we needed. Another damn entry. Okay, never mind. You know what?
I was going to say it looks exactly like a 600.
Why don't they just bring 600s in? You'll get 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
I guess maybe it's just kind of maybe like a stepping stone division. I don't know. We'll have to see.
That's what 270s are.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
There you go.
500cc motor. Of course there is. Great.
So there you go. So you got that Lincoln on Saturday, and then I guess you're right. World of Outlaws down there for Bike Week. They're doing this again. They're going to be racing Sunday and Monday at Volusia with the World of Outlaws. So they had a pretty good turnout, decent turnout last year. I think my uncle went to it last year because he was down there for the Supercross race at Daytona, and that which is this weekend, and then checked out Volusia, which I was a little jealous of because I want to get down to Volusia one day. But
Christopher Noel said they race at Tulsa. What are they called at Tulsa though?
Are they restricted carts?
Huh?
Are they?
But they race at Tulsa, so there's only so many classes. Are they
restricted?
Restricted A, or what are they called down there? Because here they're micro midgets.
I believe I'm pretty sure the Supercross race is on Saturday because that's the whole reason why the World of Outlaws do this. I was just answering Tyler's question here for anybody not watching and listening.
Yeah.
He asked if there is Supercross races on Saturday, and I'm pretty sure that's how it is. Saturday is the Supercross race, and then it's Bike Week there. They do other stuff around that area. They do not race at Tulsa. So
we have comments coming in, guys. We're just trying to follow along. What the hell PA micro midget is? Is this like ARDC, but like a new version of like a new sanctioning body? Where else do they race? I've never heard this division named. The local
pour one out for ARDC, by the way.
Maybe it's new, right? Tulsa's all 600, right? Different levels of 600s, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So again, I'm getting an education here. Tom is definitely not that I don't trust Chris, but Tom and Logan have come up through those ranks, so they're all in that world, man. I don't know. I should get Kyle Spence in here. They're all not full size midgets. I think they run at Shellhammers. They run a
go-kart tracks.
So how's that going to be?
3/8 mile makes sense. Let's do that.
Hey, it's good exposure for the division, I guess. You know what I mean? I think that's what they were there for this past weekend for Icebreaker, and they were all just, Hyper has like a bunch of show cars that looked like a bunch of PA midget, micro midget, whatever you want to call them, show cars. Good exposure for them. Maybe we'll get some kids into the division and expand that class.
I'm in.
So that's what's coming up this weekend. We're getting close to Port Royal opening day. We're getting close to Williams Grove opening day, which we're of course BAPS opening day coming up soon. March is here. We're getting into it. Season's coming. It's here. So
Some big names going to be testing at BAPS over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. Some out of towners that are locally owned, and some people renting out the tracks, and some testing going on. Early spring testing is pretty cool. Excited for it, man. I'm ready to get going. Going.
I'm ready for it. And I'm if it's nice, maybe I'll go back down to Lincoln. It wasn't that bad of a drive this time.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, usually it takes me like 2.5, 3 hours to get down there. It only took me a little bit more than 2 hours to get there. And I wasn't, I wasn't driving it that crazy. I was driving like my normal 80, 85. But I don't know if it's been taking me a different route, and I'm getting there quick.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it should be almost all highway up there. If I've driven up your way, it's pretty much all highway until you get, like for you drive a little bit of road and then you get highway, and then you should be all highway all the way down. So
yeah, pretty much.
Tyler, hired as private photographer, right? Question mark. No, but yes, but no. I don't even know if I'm going. We'll see if I can even get there schedule wise. So if I can get there, I'm going to take the camera. That's for damn sure. For a couple of people. So to be determined.
I hear you, Brad. March to October is when I am broke the most.
Save a little winter to go racing. Yeah. We do it as fans, just like they do in racing. So
absolutely,
just when I'm in a race car, spend all our money in summer.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Great week. Thank you, Jayden Wolf, again. Keep an eye out on him if you haven't been already. It's a name that you're gonna know. Good kid, coming up through the ranks. Got a good head on him. Excited to see what he can do this year. Excited to get back to Lincoln maybe next weekend. If not, I'll hope that they race. And we'll see you guys next week. And Chris, I'm sorry. Before we go, Wednesday,
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Wednesday.
Roland podcast. Tony Sharp and I. Rohan Beasley.
What?
Rohan Beasley.
What's that?
Race car driver. That's the guest.
Oh, I don't know the name. Who is a sportsman driver?
Yes. Get tuned in and find out. We're going to learn all kinds of good things.
Tune in to find out. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Roland podcast with Chris Lynn.
Tony Sharp.
And Tony Sharp.
I'm going to learn me something. All right, I'm in. I'll be watching Wednesday, buddy. I'm in.
Interviewing Rohan Beasley.
Hopefully you find your camera, Chris, for your real show.
You'll be able to see that beautiful mug on Wednesday.
For your primary show. I know this is just your sidekick now.
Tyler says, look at Tyleropedia, man. Rohan is a national treasure.
I don't know this name. I'm missing out.
I know a Rohan, but not just Rohan.
I know some stories.
Sounds
about
like
Wednesday.
Sounds like I'm gonna have to tune in and watch and find out more about Rohan.
Rohan it is. I'm in.
So check it out, and then we'll be back next Monday. Keep an eye out on our socials. Again, thanks to PA Dirt Track and Creative. They've been putting out clips of the show all week long. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check out their page on Facebook and Twitter and their YouTube, everything like that. Clips all week of the show. If you haven't been able to tune into the entire 90 minutes or so, he breaks it down into a couple minute clips, gives you bite-sized pieces throughout the week. It's great. So thanks again to him, and we will see you guys next week.